All right, we are back. Welcome back, guys, to the Heroes of the Storm North America Cup. It's the road to BlizzCon, and we are in the middle of game as the first set to Arca Gaming and Dragon Knights. We're ready for game 2, Anna, and they're already drafting.
These teams are eager. They are ready to go, and I appreciate their energy. Let's go right into it, Gilly.
All right, here we go. We're up here, and Dragon Knights have chosen Tomb of the Spider Queen. Very interesting map choice, given the fact that Panucci was Kerriganing away the last game, but they're going to go ahead and pick one that, once again, Kerrigan is good on. So, Tuark have decided to ban Jaina, Dragon Knights have banned Lost Vikings, and we have Zeratul and Sylvanas versus Uther and Johanna so far.
I'm surprised we do not see Kerrigan's face so far, and I would be surprised if they don't choose to ban her here. Although, really, Tuark doesn't have a tank or a support yet. So if they were to grab Kerrigan, it would be to use her as a tank again, foreseeably. So maybe Dragon Knights isn't scared. Maybe Dragon Knights wants to have Kerrigan for their own. They do have an Uther pick already, but Tuark does have a ban as well. So, I mean, when we saw Tomb of the Spider Queen, I thought we were going to see a lot of Kerrigan action already, but it could be I was wrong.
Well, an interesting ban here from Dragon Knights. They're going to ban ETC. They do already have their warrior, so it makes sense, but we've just saw Tuark not run warrior at all, so maybe they are looking to have a Kerrigan of their own because they have shown that Uther. Could also maybe be an Illidan since they've got the possibility of that Divine Shield, and they will get 2 picks next. So Tuark have a ban here. Maybe they'll choose to ban Kerrigan knowing that she's great on this map. Maybe they're not wanting to run her, and that Uther has been shown. So it's possible that they're, usually when we see somebody pick them first, it's because they're wanting to get him for the Divine Shield because they're going to pick up one of those melee assassins later on.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if we see Tuark ban Kerrigan because to me it looks like Dragon Knights could be setting up for her. I think she's great with Uther. She's also awesome with Johanna. But Tuark could have something else in mind that they don't even care necessarily if Dragon Knights has Kerrigan. I mean, they've got Zeratul for stealth, which is really great on this map. They have Sylvanas for push, which again, really, really helps on this map because you can use her alongside a Webweaver to deal all sorts of structural damage. And Kael'thas, who's one of the most respected burst damage dealers, they are going to ban Zagara, which takes away some potential vision and as well as siege damage that Dragon Knights could have done. But Tuark is leaving it open for them to grab Kerrigan if they want her.
Yeah, Jaina's not here, so a lot of times if like we saw last game, you like the Kerrigan Jaina together. Tuark also has Kael'thas, so Kael'thas, I mean, Zeratul, Sylvanas too, they've got a potential for a ton of damage, especially once Kael'thas gets to 16. Dragon Knights are going to need damage here. They may go ahead and pick up a Tassadar for the vision later on. It's possible if Tuark is going to run, when they didn't have a Kerrigan, they ran an Illidan tank, and I don't think that we'll see that here because they would need 2 supports for that, like a Tassadar for the shields as well as its support. So I think they will be going a warrior and support here, but Dragon Knight's going to go with Thrall and Lily.
Ooh, some faces that we don't see too often in drafts, but we did see a Lily yesterday for the first time in a while, so Dragon Knights thinks they can use her as well. Thrall with the melee damage, I would think that they may want to add a range damage to this composition. In the meantime, Tuark does not go warrior. They go 2 supports. So who's going to be their tank in this composition?
Zeratul. Very interesting. We also have I wanted to point out that they did pick up Thrall, and when we've casted the amateur series in the past, we've seen teams like Thrall on this map specifically because the Sundering is really great in some of those tight spaces. They were able to really make that work, and often used it even as like a defensive, trying to use it to disengage. But they are going to get Vala. Once again, we're going to have no tank. I was mentioning that you have to have the Tassadar for the shields, and that's what they've got. They've got Tassadar and Malfurion, and maybe, I don't want to throw this out there, but I'm going to throw this out there. I've seen a couple of teams go Shadow Assaults with Zeratul, but usually it's been with shields. You've got the Divine Shield from Uther. but you use that and you just like dive into the back line and you take somebody out really fast, and then all of a sudden you're 5v4.
I know that that's one that you really like, the Shadow Assault build, because I've heard you wish for it before. So, I don't know, maybe 2-Arc will reward us with that, but I'm really liking the idea of what this positioning will look like for 2-Arc. Malfurion with Tranquility is such a great support for damage dealers that can be really squishy, because if you just put them underneath that Tranquility, they kind of have a momentary safety where they can deal lots of damage without being taken down too far. On the flip side, though, Lily does have Jug of 1,000 Cups, which is similar in that it's an area of effect heal. So we may see Dragon Knights using a similar strategy, although I am looking at Zeratul, Sylvanas, and Kael'thas and feeling like they are going to wreck face a little bit more than just Vala and Thrall. Although Johanna does her fair amount of damage too, even as a warrior.
And we'll probably see your favorite talent, Knight Takes Pawn, since this is a battleground where you need to be able to clear out those minion waves as quickly as possible, both to grab gems, but also just because there's a lot of rotations coming out on this battleground between the lanes, which are so close together. We haven't really discussed this battleground yet today. Do you want to go over the basic objectives?
Sure. On this battleground, there are 2 turn-in points. Each one will have a little spiky egg sac on them that belongs to the Spider Queen. If you turn in gems to those locations, starting with 50, that is the price of the web weavers that the Spider Queen will turn on your opponents. Those web weavers will spawn in all 3 lanes according to how far that lane is pushed. And then you can help those web weavers along and try to push down your enemy's structures. The amount of gems you need to turn in will increase over the course of the game. So if you have turned in multiple times, you will have to turn in more the next time in order to do as much damage. On this map, really notable that this map is the smallest in the entire pool of battlegrounds, and so that means that we will see a lot of motion and not necessarily the sticking to lanes type strategies that we see on a lot of other battlegrounds.
Very true, and already it seems like we might even have some ganks, as that's another thing that happens in this battleground a lot. But let's go ahead and introduce these teams while we have time. Before that, we've got 2-Arc in red with Furious D playing Kael'thas, Quibsy on Sylvanas, Chubbs on Malfurion, Traitor playing Tassadar, and Panucci playing Zeratul.
And in blue, we've got Deadly Pain on Lily, a Sabin 85 on Vala, Necro on Johanna, Schuster playing Thrall, and Purple Drank on Uther.
Purple Drank. Well, it looks like we are seeing Furious D move around between lanes a lot. Quibsy and Chubbs even doing the same here. They have the potential to take down structures really fast, as well as to pick up a takedown if they wanted to, especially because they do have the roots from both Furious D, his gravity laps, as well as Malfurion, who's got those entangling roots. So they can definitely pick up a takedown in that fashion. They also, because they're rotating with Sylvanas, might be able to find a lane where nobody is because they are rotating and be able to push in and quickly take out a tower.
Absolutely. We see so much motion between these lanes. We do have Purple Drank down here hanging out in the bottom to make sure that experience is being soaked up for the Dragon Knights. But it looks like the thing is with these lanes being so close together, you can leave a lane and come back to it in enough time that you can still soak up the experience from that lane. Looks like that's what 2-Arc is kind of doing with the top and middle.
Yeah, they're really being fine with leaving lane, but they're doing a good job of making sure that they're going back whenever a minion wave is out to make sure that they're getting the experience from that. They're losing a few of them, but as long as they're able to pick up takedowns or even just push their opponents back from being able to soak as well, then they will be able to get ahead. Now there's a stun on Panucci from that Uther. He will have to get back though, as he's going to be pretty low. We've got Lumberjack Uther there, which is a little bit confusing because the armored one with the hammer will in fact be Thrall.
Interesting, when looking at talent, Skilly, we talked about potentially Knight Takes Pawn for Johanna, but instead she's used Reinforce, which means that using her basic abilities will reduce the next basic attack against her by 50%. So looking to add to her tankiness there a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, we've also got Lily going with the Cloud Serpent build. It's a little bit interesting, but focusing on keeping the Cloud Serpent out, it's going to add to the damage, but also later on it will heal as well. Both teams picking up level 4 too. We do have a scouting drone from Malfurion, so that plus the Oracle from Tassadar means the Vision War will definitely be won by the side of 2ARK Gaming.
Interesting. So in looking at who we have on the side of Dragon Knights, how do we think they can compensate for that vision loss?
Well, for now, they're going to lose Vala and nearly lost. Oh no, Deadly Pain walked straight through there. I don't really know. I mean, they can throw out, they've got Vala who can throw out like a multi-shot in there. Really, they're just going to have to rely on trying to throw abilities into the turn-in points, but they really don't have anything right now.
I guess they're hoping that they can count on their ability to defend themselves even if they have to face check. So as long as they can manage to make sure that their team fight is very strong and that their members are never caught out by themselves and defenseless, then maybe they feel like they don't need much vision on this map.
Yeah, it's possible too that Uther could go Clairvoyance at 7, but that's also the same place as Cleanse. Oh no, Krill getting very, very low. A great Psy Storm from Panucci will ensure that they're able to pick that up. And down goes Johanna. Now they're going to be able to take out... My bad, Panucci is not Tassadar, but he's playing with the High Templar skin, so it's my bad. But they have the possibility of going Clairvoyance, so there is a little bit of vision there, but like I said, it does fall at the same time as Cleanse, and they're going to need the Cleanse with that. They've got the Roots and the Gravity Lapse, and they're really going to find that they're going to want that.
A note about the gems, you can see when a hero does get taken down, they drop all their gems. There's a brief moment where their teammates could come and pick those gems up, but otherwise they disappear. They can't be stolen by the opposing team, but they can be lost.
Yeah, that's something you have to consider too, is when you are getting high up in terms of gems that are on your person, you're less likely, especially if you're squishy, to want to get into engagements, and that can cause problems, especially when it's a time that you need to. But now we've got level 7 talents up, as well as Web Weavers for 2ARK, so this is going to be a really big push. They've even picked up the Siege Giants on bottom, so they're going to be able to pick up both the towers, most likely on bottom, and then we even see pushes in the rest of the lanes, though. Trader is in mid, and Panucci is on top, so we're not seeing them all group up. They're instead going to just be distracting all of the team of Dragon Knights on bottom, while the other two push up, taking out at least one fort here. It looks like Panucci will be able to pick up the top one as well.
And in terms of experience, again, in this game, experience is shared, and structures are a really great way to build up your experience. 2ARK knows that, and they've taken great advantage of the fact that they have Web Weavers in all 3 lanes, and that they were forcing that defense down in the bottom. So, as you can see, they're now level 9 and approaching level 10, which is where they will have their heroic abilities, while unfortunately Dragon Knights is still at level 7.
What a brilliant rotation from 2ARK. But the other two were pushing up top and mid, and as soon as everyone left to try to deal with the Web Weaver that was still up top, 2ARK came right back in, dropped the scouting drone so that they could see either way of the flank coming, and then they were even able to go back and pick up that last fort. Now we've got the Void Prison. Bala is already down. Panucci is a little bit out of position and does get stunned, but a great Wailing Arrow means that Lily, Johanna have already been taken out. There goes Thrall. Purple Drink is the only one remaining, getting very, very low, and he would have been walking straight into a root, so it would just be Ghost Uther who remains out of here, as Vola has popped back up, but unfortunately can't deal by herself with this push that's happening at bottom.
2ARK can afford a lot of aggression here, as they do have their heroic abilities, and it was interesting to see that Malfurion with Tranquility was leading the charge, looking for a root and also having the rest of the team behind him underneath that healing. It was pretty cool. A lot of times we see that Tranquility in the back where the squishies can kind of hide under it and shoot out from underneath it, but a nice little triumphant moment there for Malfurion in the front line.
Yeah, definitely. He's got some great roots. I love great Malfurion play. It's so cool to see. I actually wanted to mention a talent of his, Shando's Clarity at level 4, making the cooldown for Innervate reduced by 10 seconds, and it's granting mana twice as fast. So really focusing on sustainability for his team, being able to give mana to whomever needs it a lot more often. That's one of the best things about Malfurion. But also mental acuity for Tassadar, so also focusing on vision. So their supports are really focusing on sustain and making sure that they've got all the tools they need to be able to win these engagements, especially because, like we mentioned before, they have no warrior.
It looks like Dragon Knight is trying to poke around here, and looks like they will not be in time to deny the boss to 2ARK. They are going to look for an engagement here. Phoenix goes down, as well as just about everything else. We do see a lot of health going down, but the Void Prison actually catches multiple people from both teams, and allowed some time for 2ARK to surround the rest of Dragon Knight. As soon as they were out of the Void Prison, they were bursted down.
Man, I'm loving the Void Prison and the Wailing Arrow combinations that we've been seeing so much lately in the meta. It's so cool to see those, that timing. It's really cool to see timing of heroics at all, let's be honest, but that one's really cool to see because it's like the same exact space. It's just very pleasing to the eye. But now there are Web Weavers pushing down every lane once again for 2ARK. They've even got the boss. That keep is going to go down and be the first keep of the game, but may not be the last in this push. 2ARK may even say, okay, we're going to try to end it here with this boss. But they may be able to now because they've taken out Johanna, so 20 seconds before the Warrior will be back up. A great Phoenix zoning out the rest of the members of Dragon Knight. They had to walk clear around their own core to try to get back in here to try to attack the boss. The keep, or the core, already halfway down in health. Everybody's still up and completely healthy from 2ARK, and this will be game and series.
I mean, there's just not a whole lot you can do, Gilly, versus a team that is 2 talent tiers ahead of you, that has a boss and web weavers pushing on your core, when you're zoned out by a heroic ability that makes you ring around the rosy around your core to defend it. I mean, there's just not a lot that Dragon Knights could do, and that means that 2ARK executed a strategy very, very well.
Yeah. That's obvious. I mean, we've seen them use these no warrior strategies before, and it's obvious that they've continued to practice those because they executed them to a T. But that was only the first round of this bracket. We've got several to go, so we'll have to see which teams will be able to deal with that strategy because it is pretty frightening.
Absolutely. And actually, do we know yet, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that 2ARK will now face Vindictive? Is that right? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so this was a 2-0. Unfortunately, Dragon Knights will end their journey here, but 2ARK will continue. They will face Vindictive in a best-of-3 right when we come back. Right, Gilly?
Yes, we will be following this line of the bracket quite a bit. So when we come back, guys, we'll have 2ARK Gaming versus Vindictive Esports. We'll see you then.